Hello, I'm Jeremy, and today we're going to be working on this 2012 Ford Escape. We're going to be installing sway bar end links on the front of it, and if you need sway bar end links for your car, you're going to want to find the TRQ brand because they're rigorously tested, direct fit, and I use them on my own car. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is loosen the lug nuts on the wheel. We want to do that while the car is on the ground so the wheel doesn't turn while we're turning the lug nuts. This is a 19mm socket that I'm using on a 1/2-inch breaker bar, by the way. All right, so now that the car is up in the air, we can take our 19mm and we can spin off the rest of the lug nuts. With the lug nuts off, we can take the wheel off. The strut has a sway bar link attached to it, so we need to remove this nut from the sway bar link so that we can disconnect it from the strut. These things can be kind of tricky because what happens a lot of the time is when you turn this nut, the whole sway bar link threaded area will turn with it. That's why they put an Allen head in the center of it, so you can hold it with an Allen head and then turn it with the wrench. Where this is all new, there's a good chance I might be able to just get it with a 15mm socket and extension, but we'll see. Nope, not gonna work. So it looks like we're going to need an Allen head to put in the center, and then I'm going to need a wrench. All right, so I've grabbed a 15mm ratcheting wrench and then a 5mm Allen head. Now, it's possible that yours are different sizes. This is a new sway bar link, so it's possible that yours are different sizes than this. Let's see how it goes. The ratcheting wrench definitely helps a lot because doing a normal wrench one at a time, it'll take you a long time to do this. All right, looks like the nut is now loose, which means we should be able to push this through. Yeah, just like that. We need to take off the lower nut on this sway bar link, but you can see it's very close to the control arm because, well, it is. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a pry bar under the sway bar, and then we're gonna push up and put a little block of wood underneath it. And that should hold it enough for us to get a wrench on here and use a ratcheting wrench to remove it. All right, so just like the top, we're gonna put the 15mm ratcheting wrench on there, and then we're gonna put the socket in the center so that we can loosen this up. The nut is now loose enough where we can spin it off by hand. Obviously, you're gonna watch your fingers when you're doing this because you don't want the wood to come loose and the sway bar to snap down. So be careful when you're doing this, and yeah, just take the nut off like that. And then you should be able to slide the sway bar out, sway bar link out. Okay, so the sway bar link can slide right through the hole in the bottom. And then you'll want to start it by hand to make sure you don't cross thread anything. And now we'll get our wrench back on there and our Allen wrench in the center. So that's now tight. Let me just double check. Yeah, that's tight. Now that the bottom is in, we're gonna go ahead and remove this wooden block, just like that. And then we can pull our pry bar out, like so. All right, so I put the nut back on there just to hold its spot. I'm gonna put it right back here in the strut, and then I'm gonna thread that on. Now once again, we're gonna need to put a Allen head in the center and use a ratcheting wrench to tighten it up. All right, that is nice and tight. All right, so now we're gonna pick up the wheel and put it right back on and throw the lug nuts on. All right, there we go. You always want to start all your lug nuts by hand because you don't want to cross-thread any of them. Because once you've cross-threaded the lug nuts, you have a really bad day. All right, we've got our 19mm socket and our torque wrench. So we're going to torque each one of these to 100 foot-pounds. Going to do it in a star pattern, and that way the wheel is torqued nice and evenly. All right, there we are.